what was the numbers people could expect when they were selling their store?
So anywhere between $500. These are for like the stores that had very low amount of sales generally, and the stores that have had higher amounts, we've paid up to $10,000 for super high stores. That's kind of a rare situation. Generally ranges between $1,000 and $5,000 is kind of what we see most often.
Hey everyone, this is Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about selling your Amazon seller account. We'll talk about how this works, does Amazon allow it, and if you have a spare seller account, what you can do. This is what... Oh my gosh, we're starting late. We got tech problems. That's the only thing on my mind. Anyways, welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. I want to thank Jeff Schick Legal for sponsoring this episode of Lunch with Norm. You've probably heard on the podcast about Amazon suspensions. They're very real. It can happen at any time. And when it does happen, how do you get out of it? How does the little guy like you and me get out of these suspensions without paying an arm and a leg in legal fees? This is where Jeff Schick Legal is here to help. For a very low monthly retainer, for only $89, get access to Amazon attorney Jeff Schick. That's right. You can sit back, relax, enjoy that cup of coffee while listening to the Lunch with Norm podcast, knowing that you have an advocate and a partner in your business success. But wait, just mention Lunch with Norm and receive 50% off the first 2 months. Get the protection you need and visit jeffschick.com today. That's JEFFSCHICK.com. Now let's get back to the show. Today, like I said, we're going to be talking about selling your Amazon seller account. It's a topic that not a lot of us are talking about. And I thought, well, this guest is going to be perfect for it. Our guest started selling on Amazon back in 2013. Since 2019, he's helped over 1,000 Amazon sellers who have stopped selling on Amazon to receive cash windfalls for their old Amazon seller accounts that they don't use anymore. So there's a lot of us out there that have these accounts kicking around. You're not using them. So what do you do with them? He's also spoken at Amazon seller conferences in London, Orlando, Washington, and Hamburg, and he's also appeared on many Amazon selling podcasts. Today, first-time guest, we're going to be welcoming Aaron O'Sullivan. And since we already had the sponsor and since we already had the boy Blunder on, let's get right to it. So if you do have any comments, just shoot them over to the on the comments section. And if you have any friends over on Facebook in the group, in the Lunch with Norm group, let them know that Facebook is having some technical problems right now and we cannot connect. So we are going live on YouTube. Okay, so sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, and welcome Aaron.
Hey Norm, pleasure to be here.
So you know what? This is a topic that I think a lot of people are going to be interested in. If they're not interested now, maybe down in the future. I was talking to my partner today, just before we got on, and we have a bunch of Amazon sellers who walked away from their product, just walked away. Now, did they walk away from their account at the same time? So this is why I'm really interested. Like when we started talking, we were introduced to a few months ago by Neil Twa, and it really intrigued me what you were saying. So I can't wait to dig into it and let everybody know what we were talking about. So like right off the bat, is there life for a dead Amazon account?
So is there life after somebody stops selling?
Yeah,
you're asking. Yeah, so absolutely. So a lot of people have challenges to sell on Amazon for a variety of reasons, whether it's competition's too fierce, someone gets a divorce, they throw in the towel, or for a plethora of reasons, people stop selling on Amazon. And most people think that, well, a lot of people don't know that it's a possibility to sell your seller account after that fact. So there is life for a seller account after it's been finished with, providing it gets done in a proper manner, which we can talk about today for sure.
Yep.
But that's essentially what we've been doing. We've been helping people that have stopped selling, sending them cash windfalls for their seller account that they don't use anymore, and that's given them closure. Oftentimes, as I said, some people just have a rough time on Amazon. Some people had a great time, but they're just looking to close down that part of their and move on into a new kind of journey. And it's offered closure to a lot of people, and essentially, a cash windfall as well with inflation, record highs and cost of living going up. It's been really useful for a lot of folks, especially around this time of year, Christmas and all that. So yes, that's the long answer to your question. There is life for an Amazon store after somebody's used it.
Okay, this is an interesting topic, and usually I just drill people with questions, but I want to turn it around today and ask you where you would like to start on this topic.
Yeah, awesome. So I guess we can start. What would be a good starting point is we kind of covered like what we do and kind of how the life after somebody's used an Amazon account. So we could kind of talk about kind of what people can kind of expect in terms of evaluations, and then we can talk through the kind of process of how it works. Yep. So people are clear of the logistics of how to transfer a store and sell a store without causing issues. So that would be definitely something would be important to cover. Okay. And yeah, let's dive straight in. So I can maybe talk, and if you want to jump in any point, if you've got any questions, things that you want to, if you want to segue into, then we absolutely can at any point. So
I just want to back up and just let the listeners know. So there are all sorts of reasons. When you jump into Amazon at the very beginning, a lot of our listeners right now are successful. Some are beginners, some are intermediate. And you're probably wondering why we're covering this. Well, sometimes, and we've gone through so many of these points, one being capital. Maybe you're failing because of capital. Maybe it could be like you were talking about, there could be outside elements coming in here that are affecting the account. We've got to be prepared for it. Just like anything that we're doing with Amazon, Walmart, or Shopify, there's risk evaluation. And as long as you have a game plan to move forward, this is going to help. So this podcast today, I think, is going to be one of the top podcasts that we're going to be talking about because it prepares you to move forward in case anything happens. So let's talk about valuation.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. That's a really important preface, really, is because, as Norm said, there's 1,000 reasons why people would start a business on Amazon and also would kind of walk away from a business. And it's important to know, okay, what does that look like in terms of a journey? If that is something that does occur in your business that you're growing, or anybody who's listening. So in terms of valuation, so generally we've paid anywhere from $500 up to $10,000 for Amazon seller accounts that are not being used anymore. So these are not live businesses with profits and team members and systems, and that's an important distinction to make as well. So we're only really what we do is we only kind of look for stores that have been wound down or people are considering kind of throwing in the towel. So that's the first thing. And essentially what the evaluation is kind of based on ranges really from, there's a few variables. So the biggest variable is total sales volume. So essentially why it's important for us to look for sales volume is because essentially Amazon trusts the accounts that have been selling more on Amazon, right? So over time, Amazon builds up a trust metric for every seller account. And the easiest metric to use for that is, total sales volume, because the more sales there's been, the more seller feedback there is, the more seller feedback, the higher the chance that you're going to win the buy box. The higher chance when you launch products, you're going to be able to compete with other sellers for that buy box on certain listings and so forth. So essentially, Amazon has a trust factor for all seller accounts. The larger the amount of sales on the store, the higher the trust with Amazon, and that allows the store to be grown quicker. So that's why we value the stores higher that have higher sales volume. I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense to you, Noel?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, what was the numbers people could expect when they were selling their store?
So anywhere between $500. These are for like the stores that had very low amount of sales generally, and the stores that have had higher amounts, we've paid up to $10,000 for super high stores. That's kind of a rare situation. Generally ranges between $1,000 and $5,000 is kind of what we see most often with seller accounts. So
what about the categories? So depending on the categories that you're approved in, does that have any bearing on the amount that the person would receive?
Absolutely. So that's one of the factors. So the main factor for evaluations was sales volume. Another is seller feedback, as mentioned. Age comes into it as well, because that plays. Also, what also is important is, as you just said then, which is categories and brands that have been ungated. If there's a ton of categories, brands ungated on the store, we look at that and factor that into the evaluation too. So that is absolutely something which is important, because it does save a lot of people, a lot of time, opening in categories, brands. Obviously that's time and energy expense for sure, and money expense. So that's something that goes into the valuation too, for sure.
One of the very first things that comes to mind is this against TOS? Does Amazon even allow this?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's one we get often. And just like you probably, everybody listening to this probably at some point has heard of people selling their Amazon business, whether it's to roll up aggregators or other private equity companies, or to anyone else. So the process of purchasing an Amazon seller account we follow exactly the same process as hundreds of other transactions that happen on the platform every year. And if you notify Amazon what's happening, you follow the legal process with an asset purchase agreement and transfer, just as if you were selling the business. Amazon allows that, and they can assist you during that transfer if you notify them, tell them what's happening. And it mimics the same process essentially as an aggregator purchase in your business, but because we're just purchasing an Amazon store which doesn't have any active sales, profits, etc., is actually a much faster process, of course, because essentially it's not an active business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I'm going to go down a slightly different rabbit hole here. We talked about it just before we came onto the podcast today, but let's say, how can a seller actually improve their chances of survival before they get to the stage of, okay, I got to sell my account?
So in terms of how to, so are you talking about how to increase the valuation of the account?
Let's talk about how we're going into survival mode. All of a sudden, sales aren't coming through, or they're coming through, but they're minimal. And I want to increase the valuation of my business. And I know this is a little bit different topic than we're talking about, but I think people should know, how can they, before they get to you, what can they do to help build that valuation?
Got it. So let's say Bob's thinking about throwing in the towel with inflation, shipping costs in China have gone through the roof, and the business is not, producing, and he just had enough, whatever it is. Then at that point, there's a few things that essentially you can do to increase the valuation by the time you get to someone like me, who's going to look at the account. Again, because we're only purchasing the seller account itself, we're not purchasing the actual business. We can talk more about that, and it's done through essentially an asset purchase. So as opposed to purchasing the actual LLC, right? So in terms of how you can increase the valuation of the seller account, if you was looking to sell it, then yeah, the main levers would be looking at kind of increasing the total sales volume on the store since opening, brands, categories opening. If you can open them, then that will increase the value of the store as well. Obviously, if you get more sales and you've got more seller feedback, that definitely helps. And yeah, that's generally the main levers there of how you could increase that valuation, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, that does make sense. And for anybody who's listening right now, actually, it's really great to see that we've got a bunch of viewers that must have come over from Facebook, because we're telling everybody that we're only going to be posting on YouTube just a couple of weeks ago, but going live on Facebook. So first of all, hey, thanks, Simon, Tony, Rad, for posting some comments here. But if you do have questions about your business, selling an account, or any questions at all that you can give to Aaron, he's here right now. And on top of that, stay tuned, because we have a really, really cool giveaway today that I didn't expect. And you're going to be surprised. So anyways, stay tuned, because this is going to be a really cool, something you're not expecting. Okay, so let's get back to the podcast or the questions, and let's talk about the asset purchase itself. So there might be some listeners who don't understand, well, what's an asset purchase compared to buying my business? Can we talk about that?
100%. Yeah, it's a very great question, actually. So majority of businesses that are purchased online in the Amazon space too, most of them get purchase what's called through an asset purchase. So let's say Bob, going back to our example, Bob owns Bob Distribution Limited, for example. He's selling on Amazon. He's done that for 5 years. And Bob's owned that LLC. His name is, he is the sole owner of that. And generally there's two ways how you can sell active businesses. And I'll preface this by saying I'm not an expert in selling active businesses with revenues and profits. My specialty is in the Amazon account side. So, but if you're selling a business, and you're looking to sell it for a couple of million, for example, then generally it'd be done in two ways: through an asset purchase, which means if Bob was to sell his business to Mary, then Mary purchases Bob's assets. Mary doesn't purchase the LLC. And the reason they do that, oftentimes people want to do that, is because the liability doesn't transfer from Bob's company to Mary's, right? So she just purchases the assets from the business, whether that's the Amazon account and the email list and the Facebook group or whatever Bob has. Mary would purchase the assets, and it would be an asset purchase agreement, and that protects Mary from any liability that happened previously when Bob owned the company. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So Bob sold supplements, sold his company to Mary, and then somebody gets hurt taking one of Bob's supplements, and then Mary can get sued because she bought the entire LLC, if that was the case. So that's why people generally want to opt for an asset purchase, because it stops that liability transferring to the new owners. So yeah, that's essentially what happens with purchasing an Amazon account as well. So a lot of the aggregators out there in the space that are purchasing businesses will be doing an asset purchase, and that's exactly the same process what we go through when purchasing an Amazon store from somebody who's just stopped selling, right? So so an asset purchase, as mentioned, means that the liabilities won't carry through, and it's a lot speedier of a process too. So I hope that makes sense.
100%. And thanks for the clarification. When Bob comes to you, he's ready to throw in the towel. So what is the process that you'd be going through?
Sure. Yeah. Let's walk through the kind of step by step. So first and foremost, it's about getting clear on Bob's account, evaluating Bob's account. And generally we do this either on two ways. We do it on a Zoom call, hop on a quick, it takes 5-10 minutes. We ask a bunch of questions, basically getting clear on things like, has it ever been suspended? Are you the original owner of the store? Where is the store able to sell products? Where is it? The due diligence questions that are important for us to know about the store, to make sure it's healthy, in good standing. See the metrics of the account. So, quick Zoom call, 5-10 minutes, ask the questions, and just have a browse through the account and make sure everything is healthy and in good standing. So that's the first step. Evaluate the store. Step 2 is let me take a step back. So on the evaluation call, we can check the store, make Bob an offer on the actual call. If we need to take it away, chat to the team, then that's also what happens sometimes, and we swing back round via email, make Bob an offer. So that's on using Zoom. We also screenshots can also be sent into one of our type forms, where sometimes people are busy and can't make a call, so that's easier for some people. And essentially we get all the information about the account, make an offer. That's step 1. All right, I danced around a bit there, so hopefully that's clear. Awesome. Step 2 from there is, if Bob agrees to the price and everything checks out, then we send Bob an asset purchase agreement. So this is the agreement we talked, the way we transfer stores. It takes about 5 to 7 minutes to go through the agreement, make sure they check it through. If they're happy with it, they sign. And then the next step is step 3, which is sending the money. And we do that via escrow. So escrow is the safest platform on the planet for transactions like these. And then step 4 is we actually transfer the account. Bob will hop on a call with one of my team members, like a team viewer call, and essentially we begin the transfer of the store. After we've transferred everything, which it usually takes about 2 to 4 weeks to fully remove everything from the store without setting off Amazon's red flags, and we have a very specific process we follow. After that has been fully transferred, we'll send Bob a video showing the proof that it's all of his details have been removed, so you can have peace of mind that's that's closed, and all is been transferred out of his name, if that makes sense. So that's the 4 steps.
Very good.
At the high level.
All right, so this all is set up. You don't have to worry about it. The asset transfer agreement, that'll take care of. I just want to go through a couple of things. So any of the IP, the trademarks, website, social media, all those intangible products, right? And does it also,
right.
And it also covers any form of goodwill, correct?
Right. So all of that is covered in the asset purchase agreement. But because we're just purchasing the actual store itself, we won't be purchasing any trademarks or assets itself. It's just the Amazon store itself that we're purchasing.
Oh, okay. So, okay, I'm mistaken. I thought you'd be given the trademarks and the trademarks or any of the copyrights. It's just the store that you're purchasing.
Right. So all of like the trademarks that might have been created if it's a private label brand, that doesn't get transferred. That's not part of what we're purchasing. So the previous owner, Bob, will keep trademarks, any email lists, any other stuff that he has to run that business. We're just purchasing the actual Amazon store. So Bob's LLC was the owner of the asset, and now the title of the asset, the store, has changed now through the asset purchase agreement.
Okay, so now this opens up a couple more questions for me. So you purchase the asset, which is the store, but can Bob go and continue selling then on his Walmart account or his Shopify store, because you're only buying the Amazon asset, correct?
Yes, correct. So it's just the store that we purchase as our company. That's all we purchase. But trademark lists, any other stuff he's got, that's fine. But it's just the title transfer of the actual Amazon account moves from Bob's LLC to ours.
Okay. All right. So I'm glad I clarified that because I was wrong. So let's just stop for a second. And anybody who's listening, you do not want to go away right now because we're going to get into the information about the giveaway today. But before we do that, questions. Come on, you got to have questions. I know there's a bunch of listeners on here right now. You've got to have some. Simon, come on, Simon. You got to give me at least one question, or Rad, or any of you that are listening. You have to have questions about this. All right, I see something that's just come in from Mike. Mike, we're going to get to the questions in a second. We just like to stockpile them and then answer them all at once. But now is the giveaway. Aaron, talk to us about this awesome giveaway today.
Absolutely. So before the call, we was kind of chatting back and forth, and I was kind of racking my brain what to offer the giveaway, and what I thought would be something interesting for folks would be a free Amazon seller account, which you could use for to essentially shortcut your growth on Amazon if you're looking to launch a new brand, for example, or if you're looking to start a new business on Amazon. Then stores that are more trusted with Amazon, generally, you can grow them much quicker than if you started a brand new account, and there's much less hoops to jump through, which is why we purchase these stores from folks, because we work, on the flip side, we work with Amazon sellers, private label sellers, with to do exactly that, help them shortcut their growth on Amazon, or diversify their businesses on Amazon with backup accounts and so forth. So the giveaway is a free Amazon seller account that is fully transferred in a proper manner, so you can diversify your current business or launch a new one. So that's the giveaway.
Now, if I don't see the hashtag Wheel of Kelsey just going crazy here, you're missing out on something. So
it's the Amazon seller account is worth at least $2,000. So that's also something worth saying too. So yeah, sorry, Norm, to jump in there.
Yeah, no problem. So this giveaway is to get a seller account, an Amazon seller account, approximately $2,000. And I don't know about you, but I could always use another Amazon seller account. So this is fully transferred. Everything is included for you. So that's hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, and you'll get a second entry. Okay, now before we go forward, let's have a word from our sponsor.
A big thank you to our sponsor, Post Purchase Pro, the only complete A to Z done for you real email and text marketing service built specifically for Amazon sellers. Post Purchase Pro creates all of your digital assets 100% for you, from marketing inserts, complete sales funnels, email follow-up sequences, and weekly email promotions. They manage and optimize everything for you to drive more sales, get higher ranking, and receive more reviews on Amazon. So check out Post Purchase Pro now to see if you too will see enormous growth like their nearly 500 clients worldwide. That's Post Purchase Pro at postpurchasepro.com/lunch.
All right. So let's talk about, you've got the account, and now you found a buyer for it. What does it take for somebody to purchase an account from you?
Right. So it's actually quite a similar process, but it's on the flip side. So in terms of the process, I walk through it. So usually what would happen in this case, we can talk through it as if through the lens of the giveaway, because maybe that'll be useful. So whoever wins the giveaway, then typically the process will go like this. There'll be first step, we'll essentially take a look at the store. We can show you around, which is basically making sure that the store is in good standing and everything checks out. Where we can look at the sales volume, the performance notifications, the seller feedback, make sure it's a healthy store, and that it's what we say it is. Essentially, that's usually the first step when we're kind of selling a store. And from there, what happens is if they want to move forward, then we'll sign an asset purchase agreement, similar, right, that we talked about before. And then that's step 2. Step 3 is payment. So after the asset purchase agreements have been signed, payment gets sent. And then essentially step 4 is the transfer. Basically just through volume, right? We've done well over 1,000 of these at this point, and frankly, we'd have to be idiots not to see what works and what doesn't work. Absolutely. When we first started out, we learned the lessons of how you don't transfer Amazon seller accounts. It's a very, very sensitive beast, is Amazon, as I'm sure you all know. So just through volume, we've figured out the exact algorithm of how to transfer stores without setting off a single red flag from Amazon, and do it in a way which has a fully legal paper trail, which will, Amazon allows on their platform, just as if you were selling, an aggregator was purchasing an active business. So I hope that gives you a good overview of that process on the other side.
It does. And I want to we don't normally grab the questions right now, but I see that Simon just put in a really great comment here. Kels, what is this?
Okay, so let me read it out from Simon. Sorry, I missed the intro and maybe missed some key information. I'm a bit lost as to why I'd want an old account rather than start from scratch and build my own credibility.
Great question. So basically, there's a number of reasons why people want to purchase older stores, right? Amazon stores. So if you're starting off with a new Amazon account, jumping through all of their hoops can take 30, 60 days to get everything set up and rock and rolling. And essentially, Amazon doesn't trust brand new Amazon seller accounts as much as they trust a store which might have had, let's say, $500,000 in sales or $1 million in total sales. The metrics and trust that have built up on that store over time, and good metrics is beneficial if, let's say, you're looking to launch a new brand and you've got your Amazon system started and you know how to grow an Amazon business. Then launching on a kind of a seasoned store that has already built up a lot of trust over years with Amazon, oftentimes this means you can win the buy box a lot quicker, which means you can generate more sales, more profits, and gain momentum on the account. And that's really why people purchase stores from us. Amazon sellers, private label folks, FBA folks, doing wholesale. It generally allows you to shortcut the growth of your Amazon store, because you're purchasing a seasoned and trusted store versus a brand new account that Amazon essentially doesn't trust yet. There's another factor involved as well, which is payment holds. So all accounts after July 2016 have a reserve on, right? So payment holds, you've seen them probably, they used to be called no unavailable balance, right? So inside your payment summary screen, inside your Seller Central account, it will tell you you've had this many sales, and then you've got, account level reserve. There's going to be generally some funds in there, right? So let's say Amazon owed you $100,000, right? And if you have a store which has a reserve, that'll take you generally, 3 or 4 weeks to get that full $100,000, right? Just for numbers' sake, keeping it simple. However, if you have a store with no reserve, which means Amazon pays you in full every 2 weeks. So these stores were from before July 2016. So, if you have a no reserve store, you get your $100,000 in 2 weeks. So that increases the payment cash flow cycle by up to 40% sometimes. It's between 25 and 40% generally. And that can really make a big difference in how fast and how big you can grow your Amazon business. With cash, obviously, e-commerce is a game of cash flow. If you're getting paid every 2 weeks in full versus every 3 or 4, then the numbers over time compound, and it can be really dramatic. I hope that makes sense. That makes sense to you, Norm?
Yeah, it does. And I guess the other thing too, I don't know if it's one of the questions, but you're buying the asset, which is the store. So now you've got to create your brand and put it in. So you've got to still go through all the brand registry process, correct?
Right. Yeah. So if if you're private label, which I know most of your audience is, then yes, you would go through that same process to kind of launch the brand on the store. So as you would normally do it.
Okay. All right. Very good. Let me see here. I guess the last thing I need to talk to you about today is if you have a seller account and okay, you have a seller account, you're throwing in the towel. What do people do to get a hold of you, and what are you going to do for them?
Absolutely.
We've already talked most of it.
Yeah. So basically, if somebody is look, I've had enough, or they've got a spare seller account collecting dust on the proverbial digital shelf, then you can reach out. You can there should be a link perhaps under the video, but it's sellmyselleraccount.co, and if you go to that link, you'll be able to connect with my team, hop on a call, provide some screenshots if that's what you'd rather do. Then we can make you an offer if you want to see how much yours is worth, and if you want to move forward, great. If you don't want to move forward, that's also great. No issue whatsoever. So that's how you can find us, is at sellmyselleraccount.co. Perfect.
Okay. And I just want to mention again, we have an incredible giveaway. I know there's a few people joining us late. We got connected to Facebook, I see. So very good. Also, if you are listening on YouTube, we're not going live usually on YouTube right now. We're posting edited versions of the podcast on YouTube. Everything is being shown in our Facebook group. So if you're not part of our Facebook group, get over there. It's Lunch with Norm, the Amazon and e-commerce collective. The giveaway today from Aaron is awesome. He's actually going to give away a seller account. So completely transferable seller account. You'll have an extra seller account. The value is at least $2,000. So not a bad haul for a giveaway today. Hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, you get the entry. And now let's get over to some questions, Kels.
Okay.
Now there's a ton, by the way. So
yeah, there is a ton. Some of these I think may have already been answered, but if we want to just go over them, if we already answered them, just let me know and we can move on to the next. From Mike, what about brand registry? Can the buyer still have the brand protection without owning the brand?
We just talked about that one.
Okay.
Yeah, so just to be clear, you're not buying the brand, you're buying the store.
Okay. From Tony, what is the value of the stores and how do you resell the account? I guess anything else to add?
So the value of, so I think there's two questions, right? So how do we value stores? Let's say Bob has thrown in the towel, doesn't want to sell on Amazon anymore. Then we basically check the account. We look for total sales volume. We look for seller feedback. We look for categories, brands, and gated. We look at the disbursement type. Does it have no payment hold? These are higher value. So this means they pay in full every 2 weeks. Or does it have a payment hold? Does it take 3 or 4 weeks to get the full amount from Amazon? So that's also what we look at. So that's how we value the store, Tony. And then how we resell the account. So we work with a network of Amazon sellers. A lot of wholesale folks and private label people come to us, and we kind of walk through the process just a second ago with Norm. So similar sort of process for when we're purchasing them, but somebody checks the store, we sign agreements if they want to move forward. They pay, which is the third step, and then the fourth step is we transfer it using a meticulous, 72-step process we've developed. Over 1,000 of these transfers over the last 3.5 years. So that's kind of how we do it on that end. Hope that answers your question. If I didn't answer it correctly, just ask again. I'll do my best.
All right, perfect. From Mike, what does it cost to sell a store with you? Is it by percentage, or what is generally the cost with brokers that do this?
So we basically, we just purchased the store direct from Mike. So in Mike's case, if you have a spare store, so you just go through the steps of, first we'd check your store. Number one, we'd then make you an offer. Step two, we'd sign agreements if you want to move forward. Step three, send you the money, and then step four, would transfer the store. So we it's not a percentage; it's a direct payment, kind of like a direct offer, if that makes sense.
Okay, perfect. From Rad, can we have 2 Amazon accounts under the same company? Or can a company have 2 accounts on Amazon selling 2 different products?
So can we have 2 Amazon accounts under the same company? No. So that's something you actually want to stay away from. Amazon, they always kind of move the goalposts, as we all know. But essentially, if you have Amazon, based on their terms of service, if you have multiple Amazon businesses, then essentially they want to be disconnected, sell different products, different types of businesses, right? And that's the loose general guidelines they give you. But there are ways to create multiple Amazon stores. If you wanted two different Amazon businesses, it's obviously recommended not to sell the same product, in case Amazon say, well, you're selling the same product, why have you got 2 businesses? That can be an issue. But yeah, if you have a completely different business, you're selling a different product line and so forth, then you can request Amazon to give you that permission. And I know a lot of people that do that. I know people that do not want to tell Amazon, and they just say, okay, great, I'm going to go and set up a second company. I'm going to create a private LLC, so Amazon can't see who's on the LLC. And I'm going to, the reason people do this is, Amazon shut down people daily, right? By accident, oftentimes. And, we've all got the stories of somebody we know who's had a $10 million business shut down overnight and no chance to get it reinstated. So a lot of sellers want a second backup account in case that happens, just to diversify and mitigate that risk. Their whole livelihood's risking on their Amazon store, which is being attacked by black hat sellers one minute and Amazon are suspended them the next. A lot of people are just not willing to risk all of that, and they want multiple stores to kind of diversify that risk.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Amazon shuts down your business. What do you do?
All right, great. Let's see. From Simon, if I win the seller account, what region will it be, and will I have to pay the monthly Amazon fees immediately?
So, great question. So, the Amazon store will be selling. So, I should have said this before. So, we only purchase Amazon seller accounts that can sell on Amazon.com. So, we don't purchase stores from Europe or elsewhere. Just Amazon US marketplace stores that my company purchases. But so that means the store, if you win, Simon, it will be an Amazon.com seller account. And yeah, you'll be able to sell products over in the US. And the monthly fees, it will actually take generally between, take about 2 weeks before you have to start paying the fees, because it would take my team 14 days generally to transfer a store, providing there's no hiccups, with the transfer process. So that's how long it takes us to do it safely and securely and raise no red flags with Amazon.
Okay. Next, Let's see. From Mike, is this something that can be done with a store that is growing rapidly and just sell it to someone with deeper pockets to handle the larger purchase orders from from us, the brand manufacturer?
So I'm going to reread this. Is this something that can be done with a store?
I
So
think there's some confusion about buying the brand, with it's not associated with the brand, Mike. That's what I was confused with at the beginning as well. They're just buying the store. So you may have a brand, you want to just sell the brand on Shopify or some other outlet, and this is where Aaron would come in, buy the store, but he's not buying anything to do with the brand.
that's correct. Yeah. So it's just the asset of the Amazon seller account, the brand assets, Goodwill, IP, email list, followings. We don't purchase them. We just buy the actual store itself, and that's what we include in the asset purchase agreement. So I hope that clears that up, Mike. Thanks, Norm.
Yeah, I had that confusion at the beginning as well.
Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
I should have prefaced it with that for sure.
So I think this is along the same lines. I think I know the answer to this one, but from Mike, does the new account still get the benefits of the brand registry?
No.
Okay. Perfect. We just got a couple more from Simon.
Sure.
What value does the aged account have over great products, good price, optimized listing, keen PPC, and external traffic?
What value is the aged account over?
Can I just jump in on this one? So
Yeah.
Simon, and tell me if I'm wrong, but one of the things about this is that it acts as a layer of protection. So if you have that secondary account ready, it's an insurance policy. So if something were to happen to your account and it's suspended, you can then take your products, put them onto this other account, and you can start reselling again. Because some of the biggest people have been, like Anchor was taken down, and they're one of the biggest on Amazon right now. So tell me if I'm wrong, but that's probably one of the main reasons. And then we got into some of these other advantages earlier on.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, good.
Okay, great. From Brian, can you change the visible seller name of the account?
You can, but it needs to be done there needs to be a process followed. It depends on the context of what you're doing there, but that kind of happens during the transfer process with our team. So all that kind of gets taken care of, and there's a very specific kind of step-by-step algorithm, if you like, of that we've tested over the years that doesn't set red flags. And Amazon, how Amazon wants you to transfer the details of the store. So that's out of context. Like if you just change the name, I probably wouldn't recommend it. But if you was to sell a store like a seller account, then that would be changed completely over during the transfer process. So all the details would be changed out of previous owner's name to new owner's name.
All right, perfect. Any more questions?
Okay, I think most of them we've handled.
All right.
Let me see. The brand owner can authorize. From Mike, can the brand owner authorize the new seller?
So I think there's might still be some confusion around the brand being purchased with the store from what I'm seeing here. But essentially, Mike, let's say Bob has a store, he's just stopped selling. Bob's thrown in the towel. We purchased the store from Bob, and we just purchased the Amazon seller account itself. We don't purchase Bob's previously owned brand, email list, so forth. It's just the actual seller account itself, and we handle that transfer of the store just like what happens when an aggregator purchases a business, and they transfer the store from the previous owner to the new owner of that business. So I hope that makes sense. So yeah, the brand won't be transferred to the new owner. That will be left with Bob and all the assets of the company.
Okay. All right. I think that's the last one.
That is. I think we got them all.
Okay. So I think it's that time. Well, I spoke too soon. There is one more sponsor call out, and then we'll get to the Wheel of Kelsey. And Aaron, you've never seen this, have you?
No, I'm excited.
I want to give a quick shout out to an incredible group of sponsors that help us produce this podcast for you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Lunch with Norm would not be possible without the support of the following sponsors: Post Purchase Pro, Clear Ads, Goldstein Law, Honu Worldwide, Extreme Power, Jeff Schick Law, Netfluence, Startup Club, and Dragonfish Brand Management. Thank you, and you're awesome. Now back to the show.
Okay, it's that time.
It's time for the Wheel of Kelsey.
All right. I think I got everyone that entered. So thank you, everyone. I know there's some confusion today about the streaming. So we will be back on Wednesday to the Facebook page only. So yeah, I think we got everyone. So let me go ahead and shuffle these names up. And if you are the winner, please email me kate@lunchwithnorm.com and we'll connect you with Aaron. And it looks like Mike is the winner.
Hey, Mike, you got it. Now you can ask questions directly to Aaron. There you go. Oh, and
Congrats.
By the way, it looks like Mike he rephrased something. What was that, Kels?
Oh, yes. Okay, so Mike said, so rephrasing, I own the brand, I sell the store, I can still authorize the new owner under my brand registry. Is that correct?
I own the brand, I sell the store, I can still authorize the new owner under my brand registry. If the new owner of the store, if you say to the new owner, hey, I want you to sell these products still that I'm the brand owner of, I think that would be best for our call, Mike. We can go through that. I want to make sure I understand fully the question with the contents and the intent behind it, just so I can give you the absolute best answer. I don't want to throw something on there that I'm not 100% sure I'm understanding the question. So
yeah. All right. So congratulations, Mike. That has been one of the best giveaways we've given away. We've had a crazy month or two of really great giveaways, and this is just another one. So congrats. I think and I thank Aaron for providing that today. So he and by the way, he was not ready when we were talking about something completely different. He said, hold it a second, and he said, let me do this. So we really appreciate him providing this awesome giveaway. And Aaron, thanks for being on. This is a topic that we have never talked about. It's been great.
Thank you very much for having me on. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully, we've helped people that have, are contemplating kind of throwing in the towel, or if somebody's got a spare account, then we'd be happy to help, or just point you in the right direction either way. Alrighty.
All right. And again, where do they get a hold of you if they do have a spare account or want a spare account?
Right. So you can reach out. Just go to sellmyselleraccount.co.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you again. And I hope everybody enjoyed the show.
Lunch with